Welcome in, everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be tackling something pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's healing a marriage after infidelity.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to be looking at the healing after heartbreak, overcoming infidelity through faith episode
Okay.
from the Sun Inside podcast.
Interesting.
I know it's heavy, but I think it's going to be super insightful, whether you're dealing with this yourself or, just want to understand how couples work through this.
Absolutely.
So,
What really stood out to me about this episode was how it kind of reframes the whole idea of infidelity. Like, it's not just this one single act, right? It's more like a symptom of something. Deeper problems in the relationship, cracks that have been there.
Oh, I like that, cracks that have been forming for a while.
Yeah, for who knows how long.
It's true. It really is like the whole straw that broke the camel's back thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The infidelity is like the last straw.
Yeah.
But all that weight has been building up for
years sometimes.
Yeah. And the podcast suggests that the first step toward healing actually starts with
honesty.
With honesty. Being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
and with if it's part of your life, a higher power.
A higher power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They even quote a verse from the Bible, James 5:16.
Okay.
Confess your sins to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
I mean, we're talking about something very specific here.
Yeah.
But why do you think honesty is just so vital
Well,
moving forward?
think about it. Can you really heal?
Yeah.
Can you really rebuild trust?
Right.
If you're hiding things.
Right.
If there are secrets. If you're worried about what might come out.
Yeah.
You can't, there's no safety. There's no vulnerability.
That just breeds more pain.
Yeah, resentment just festers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about admitting to the infidelity. It's about those cracks
Yes.
you were talking about. What led to that point?
Yeah.
Where did things start to break down?
Right.
Where did the communication stop?
Right, where'd it go wrong?
Yeah, those are tough questions.
They are.
But so important.
Absolutely. They're essential for healing to even begin.
To even begin.
Yeah.
And that takes real vulnerability.
So much vulnerability.
From both people.
From both sides.
To look at themselves and the relationship. And,
to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And at each other.
And the podcast also emphasizes that no one should go through this alone.
Oh, absolutely not.
They talk about finding support from like a pastor or a marriage counselor.
A pastor, a counselor.
Or even
couples that you admire.
Couples that you admire, other couples who've been through this.
Yes, mentors. People who have walked this road.
It's like a support team.
It is. It's like having your own personal board of advisors.
You've got the spiritual guidance,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some practical tools from a therapist.
Right.
And then just learning from
those who've gone before.
other people's experience.
Ex-
Yeah. It's all about tapping into that network of support.
However that looks for you.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone.
Right. And they even connected that to Matthew 7 and 8.
Oh, yeah.
From the Bible. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open to you.
It's a reminder that help is out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through this alone,
Yeah.
but you do have to ask.
You do have to ask.
You got to reach out.
And that's a sign of strength, not weakness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some resources that come to mind for you?
Well, there are so many, but
What kind of support systems could someone tap into?
I think it depends on the person and their needs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Either in their community or online.
I think support groups can be really helpful
Yeah.
online or in person.
Yeah.
And that brings us to one of the big ones,
Yeah.
forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Which the podcast, doesn't shy away from.
Right.
I mean, it can feel impossible
Yeah.
to even think about forgiving someone.
Especially after something like this.
Yeah, after they've hurt you like that. Yeah, it really is like one of the biggest hurdles, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But the podcast makes a really important point about forgiveness.
Okay.
It's not about saying like what happened was okay.
Right.
Or condoning,
All right.
the actions.
It's not about them.
Yeah, it's about letting go of that bitterness,
Right.
the resentment that you're holding on to.
For your own sake.
To your own sake.
For your own well-being.
Exactly.
It's so true.
Yeah, they actually have a great quote
Oh, yeah?
that they share from Ecclesiastes 3:7.
Okay.
A time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to be silent, and a time to speak.
Wow. It's beautiful.
It really captures it, doesn't it?
It does.
There's a time for all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so how do we even begin to move beyond to trauma of the betrayal?
Yeah.
Because even if you start to forgive, I imagine all those feelings of anxiety, paranoia, that difficulty trusting,
Yeah.
they can really linger. Absolutely. They can stick around for a while.
Yeah.
You know? It's normal to feel those things.
It makes sense.
But you can't let them control you.
Right.
You got to find a way to move past them.
And the podcast really talks about releasing the past, but also the commitment it takes to create a new chapter.
It's an ongoing process.
What does that even look like?
Well, you know, it's all about rebuilding that trust.
Yeah.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick.
Honesty, openness, vulnerability.
Oh, man. That sounds like a lot.
It is. It's work.
Hard work.
But it's worth it.
And I know not everyone finds comfort in religion.
Of course.
But the podcast does have a strong message about the role of faith in this whole process.
Absolutely. It's about placing God at the center of the healing journey.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, it's about drawing strength and guidance from a higher power.
Especially when things feel overwhelming.
Exactly. When you feel like you can't do it on your own.
Yeah, it's like that idea of surrender.
Right. Letting go.
Letting go.
Trusting that there's a bigger plan.
Even when you can't see it.
Yeah. Faith is about trusting, even when you don't understand.
And they talk about prayer a lot.
Yes. Prayer is so important.
Both individually and as a couple. Yeah.
It's a way to connect with your spirituality.
Yeah.
To find comfort. To seek guidance.
To feel less alone.
And praying together as a couple can create this amazing sense of unity.
It's powerful.
It is.
They share this verse from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding in all your ways. Acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight.
That's a beautiful reminder.
It is. Even if you're not particularly religious, that idea of trusting in something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
Seeking guidance beyond your own limited understanding.
That's where the real strength comes from.
That's powerful stuff.
It is.
And that leads to, I guess, the idea of renewal.
Yes.
Which they emphasize as a crucial part of healing.
Absolutely. Renewal is all about recognizing that we're all flawed.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes.
We're human.
But there's always potential for growth.
Right. There's always hope.
And they sum it up perfectly with Colossians 3:13.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
Bear with one another and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you.
Such a powerful reminder.
It is.
That forgiveness isn't just a one-time thing.
Right.
It's a practice.
It's an ongoing process.
It might take daily effort.
Absolutely.
Daily reminders of grace.
It's a journey.
It is a journey. Okay, so we've talked about honesty and forgiveness and finding support and, you know, even that idea of faith. But I think a lot of people get stuck on the how part.
Right.
Like, how do you actually take all of this and make it real?
Yeah. How do you put it into practice?
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing to talk about these concepts, but it's another thing to actually live them out.
Exactly. So does the podcast offer any, like, concrete suggestions?
They do. They actually talk a lot about communication.
Okay.
And not just like one big conversation to clear the air.
Right.
But like ongoing communication.
Really?
Creating a space where both partners feel safe to express their emotions.
Well, that's good. So it's not just about, like, hashing it all out once and then you're done.
No, it's about staying connected.
Right.
Keeping those lines of communication open.
And being honest.
Yes. Honesty is key.
Even when it's hard.
Especially when it's hard.
And they talk about setting boundaries too, right?
Yeah. Clear boundaries.
Like what kind of boundaries?
Well, for example, they talk about agreeing on what kind of contact, if any, is appropriate with the person the affair was with.
Okay, that makes sense.
And establishing clear guidelines for rebuilding trust.
So it's about creating a structure that feels safe for both people.
Exactly. A framework for moving forward.
Because if you're constantly, like, second guessing or worried about those boundaries,
Right. It's just going to create more anxiety.
and make it so much harder to heal. And of course, they emphasize the importance of professional help,
Oh, absolutely.
like seeing a therapist.
A therapist can be so helpful in a situation like this.
What can a therapist do?
Well, they can provide a safe space to process all those difficult emotions,
Okay.
help couples develop healthier communication skills,
Mm.
and work through all the underlying issues that might have led to the infidelity in the first place.
So it's like having a guide to help you navigate this really, really tough terrain.
Exactly. Someone who can help you make sense of it all.
Yeah.
And for those who find comfort in faith,
Mhm.
they really encourage leaning into that faith,
Right.
praying for guidance, for strength, for the ability to forgive,
Yeah.
finding comfort in spiritual
It's
practices.
that surrender thing again, right?
Yeah, surrendering to something bigger than yourself.
Finding strengths outside of yourself.
And trusting that even though it hurts now, there's a purpose to the pain.
Man, that's powerful stuff.
It is. It really is.
So we've covered a lot today. But I think if there's one thing to take away from all of this,
What's that?
it's that healing from infidelity is possible.
It is. It absolutely is.
It takes work.
A lot of work.
Honesty, forgiveness, support, and that willingness to just keep going.
To keep choosing each other.
Every single day.
Every single day.
It's a journey, not a destination.
That's so true.
And it's different for everyone.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
But what really came through in that podcast, and what I hope our listeners take away from our deep dive today, is that there is hope.
Always.
Even after the most painful experiences, there's always hope for healing.
And for growth.
For growth.
And for a love that's even stronger than before.
If you are going through this, please remember you are not alone.
You are not alone.
Reach out for support.
There are people who care.
There are resources available.
And there is strength and connection.
Whether that's with friends, family, a therapist, a support group, or your faith.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Take it one day at a time.
One step at a time.
Be patient with yourself.
And with the process.
Healing is possible.
It is.
And it's worth it.
Absolutely worth it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.